itches. Oh, elbow.
It's not how the Force works.
Okay.
Welcome, hospital interns, shape-shifting hemivores, and space rhinos on the moon, to this, the 268th episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 8th of August, 2018, and featuring Smith & Jones, written by Russell T. Davies and starring David Tennant as the Doctor, and introducing Freema Agyeman as Martha Jones. I am your host for this season, Randy Ronson McCulloch, and the reason I sound so animated tonight is for the first time in 2 years, I'm actually doing this podcast without a toothache.
Wow.
Also on the panel tonight is our technical director, Mad Matt Winchell.
I'm alive, I think. Oh.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Hello, Dolly.
Thomas Fireheart.
My nose is probably just as blocked up as Matt's.
And in her final regular podcast appearance here on Unearthly Podcast, Erin Romeo Moon Burke. Erin. Apt words. Erin's work has informed her that starting next week, she will be starting second shift, which is 3 till midnight all week long. So that means while we're podcasting, she's still at work and won't be home for an hour after we're done. Or about the time we're wrapping up if we're really, really late. And as with last week, Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, is in Bulgaria and is thus unable to actually attend. He has left us notes, and that will be included in our episode review. So yeah, I got lucky. I did not wind up with dry socket. Otherwise, Erin would still be hosting again this week. Because the last thing you want to do is try to host a podcast when it feels like your jaw is trying to eat your face. Last week, if you recall, I was on minimal conversation after having my tooth pulled. It got considerably better from there on out.
Now I have head pressure. That makes it feel like I'm wearing my headphones even when they're off.
Joy. And regular, anti-allergy stuff does nothing for you?
My anti-allergy stuff is done shite.
So he actually has a cold.
It's literally some sort of head cold, and actually we have found out where the source is. My father.
He's passed this on to you?
He's passed it on to me, onto my mother, and apparently has passed it on to his co-workers.
Oh, God. Everybody wants to kill him.
So he's a regular typhoid Mary.
Basically, yes.
He
is horrible.
So, Matt, my advice to you is you guys got a Walgreens or a C&B up there, right?
No.
You got no pharmacy whatsoever.
I think there's a really tiny one in the shop,
That still would probably have one. There's a substance called Alka-Seltzer Plus Cold and Cough. It is, the tablets you put in water and they foam up. Try seeing if you can convince them to get some of that, because first of all, drinking that stuff's like a throat massage. It is absolute luxury when it goes down, and then it just clears up my cold whenever I have cold sinuses, like nothing. So you might want to try popping 2 of those half hour before you need to do a live stream or a podcast. And then, of course, at night, NyQuil. Nothing ever beats NyQuil.
Yeah.
NY, big fucking Q. We love you, NyQuil.
I'm also been a long-time fan of Dayquil myself, so...
I am less convinced on Dayquil.
Dayquil has done some wonders for me in its time.
Dayquil, sometimes it works depending on the cold, but often for me it doesn't. And I take it and I'm absolutely just as miserable as I was 2 hours ago. Or it works, but it works for about half an hour.
See, I've had it and it worked for multiple hours, and I'm just feeling lovely, and then all of a sudden starts to kick back in after it wears out. But anyway.
Anyway, on tonight's show, moving on from illness and teeth pulling. On tonight is our news and birthdays, and there's not a lot of news, but it's some fairly important news. We do have some Geek Talk, thanks to Thomas. That was literally, I was informed of that at the very last minute, and just put it in about 5 minutes ago. I've got no rant this week, other than I've got no tooth to give me pain. Yeah.
I could also add to Geek Talk a little bit if you'd like, if we need some filler, but it's mostly just trailer stuff.
Okay, no. Geek Talk is usually about the entire thing, not trailers.
Well, these are particularly interesting trailers for a Nintendo game that just is still in the works.
Let's see. There's no review of Shame because we have no bill.
Yep.
I don't remember seeing any YouTube comments, although I probably should have looked. And then our episode summary and final thoughts and ratings. So moving into news. With birthdays. First of all, going back, the 2nd of August is the birthday of Greg Austin, who played Charlie in the Class spinoff. He just turned 26, which means when Class was coming out, he was, what, 24?
24, 25.
Yeah. Playing what was essentially a 16-year-old.
Awkward.
Yeah. Moving forward to the 5th of August, we've got Brian Minchin, who was an executive producer between 2013 and 2017. He also was a script editor and a regular producer prior to his executive producer run. He was a writer for Torchwood in particular. And he turned 40. And then on the 8th of August, today, is the birthday of Terry Nation, writer for Doctor Who from 1963 to 1980, also better known as the creator of the Daleks. He would have been 88, but he died in 1997 at the age of 66. And of course, his creatures have been the subject of litigation and litigation speculation ever since.
His creatures also, his other TV show has been of notable interest off and on.
Blake Seven, the Tomorrow Children. Yeah, he was big when it came to science fiction television in the 1970s.
Yes, he definitely had his moments.
All right. So we'll move on to our Series 11 news and the biggest news of the evening. Aaron?
All right. The BBC announced last Friday that the principal photography for Series 11 has completed. That doesn't mean the series is done, however. The episodes are now being sent to the BBC's visual effects department, taking the place of Milk VFX, for the adding of CGI and post-production. Furthermore, if a necessary shot is deemed unusable, it is possible that the cast will be recalled for reshoots. However, given the budget of the series, such reshoots will be unlikely, and if needed, will be used sparingly.
Yeah, reshoots are expensive. Because that means that not only do they have to, get the camera and crew together on, short notice, but if it was a location shot, they have to re-rent the location. And sometimes they can't.
Re-rent it and possibly redress it.
Yeah.
It's something that movies will do, but TV series usually don't. They'll usually just try to work with what they've got.
Yeah.
At worst, they might just try to green screen it because there might be a little bit of extra footage.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
still pretty exciting news.
Indeed.
They're done filming, yay!
Yay! All right. Concept artist Darren Faraday was on Twitter this week, and his topic was production designer Arwell Wynne Jones's idea for the Series 11 TARDIS. Here's what he had to say. Just over a year ago, Arwell Jones invited me to secret talks to start thinking about a certain TARDIS. His vision was crazy. It hasn't stopped. It's been the best job I've been on. I totally leveled up on it. I can't thank you enough, sir, for the adventure. Until the next one. Arwell responded the same day with, "You are most welcome, and thanks for all the things and things we can't talk about yet."
Yeah, that's a little bit concerning to me if the vision is being called crazy.
Yeah, it
Cause-
sounds like it's
Yeah.
trying too hard.
Because the 11th Doctor's, the first TARDIS design for the 11th Doctor, the 2010 to 2013 design.
The steampunk, the one that was obviously so hard trying to be steampunk.
That was a crazy design for me because it's a design that makes no sense. I don't mind the, I guess you could call it Fallout retro look of the Eccleston and Tennant era. As they call it, the coral look.
The coral theme, yeah.
Yeah, but I was actually thinking of the console itself looked like it was just pieced together with bits and bobs like you would find in the Fallout universe. But
It was a very lived-in console.
yeah, but I really loved the console that they've had from 2013 onwards. Or actually, I think it was 2012. Didn't that one premiere in Christmas 2012? I think so. It was
Maybe?
the Snowmen that it premiered in.
I
'Cause
think
there
they've
was
added
that-
a few little tweaks to it, but otherwise it's been mostly the same, yeah.
Well, yeah, when Capaldi took over at the end of 2013 or in 2014, they changed the blue piping in the center console to the red piping, and then added more lived-in stuff like bookcases and stuff into the TARDIS. But it was the same essential set. And I loved that set. I loved the design. I've loved it for the 5 years we've had it. I'm just like, this is a beautiful TARDIS. I love it. So the fact that they have dismantled that one and have completely designed from scratch, I'm going.
I have questions, good sirs.
Well, at least it got a 5-year run.
Mm-hmm.
You have a new doctor, a new showrunner. Do you really need a new TARDIS on top of all that?
Yeah, apparently they need to do everything.
And they're using the same excuse as well, because it'll be a case of the TARDIS has screwed itself up and it's got to fix itself up. So it's like, so I decided to redesign it.
Mind you, it's the exact same thing they did at the end of the Davies era.
Mm-hmm.
Almost verbatim. So
Yeah.
I'm not too pleased with how they took that.
I swear, if she suddenly likes fish sticks and custard.
Lands in front of an 11-year-old girl with a crack in her wall. Yeah. At that point, I'll be looking to, kick Chibnall in the dick.
Good
All
original.
right. So let's move on. We've got a little bit of alumni cast and crew news.
Yeah, just a little tidbit. The Doctor Who Appreciation Society has received permission to add a heritage plaque memorizing William Hartnell and are now raising funds to do so. This plaque will be placed at Ealing Studios, where the first scene of Doctor Who was ever filmed. More news as this story develops.
Yeah, Ealing Studios, the first scene ever filmed actually was the final scene from the first episode of Doctor Who, where they arrive in 10,000 or 100,000 BC. That was it. It's Ealing Studios was used for short cuts, short scenes, not really the long extended stuff. So, and that was the first actual scene ever filmed for Doctor Who, and they want to put a plaque up there commemorating that and William Hartnell.
That's
They need
a
money.
noble thing.
They need money to do so, but they haven't actually told us how they're raising that money. So
I assume a
that's.
donation drive as well as maybe other things.
But if it is, they haven't announced it, so they don't.
Yep.
So we don't have any information to give you there.
They could have a
Yes.
bake sale.
All right.
The Great
So
Doctor
from
Who
there-
Bake Off?
So from there, we're going to Big Finish news. And Big Finish, there's two things. There was a third thing, but it was basically something we'd reported before. It was just, here's a little more information that we don't usually report anyway. So I'm like, screw it. Out now. Camille Kuduri narrates this month's short trip as Jackie Tyler. The follow-up story to the Siege of Big Ben. This has Jackie Tyler and the Metacrisis Doctor meet on a Zeppelin to hash things out between them. But something goes wrong. Badly wrong. And we're talking like Hindenburg or R101 wrong. Short trips, flight into Hull is available on the Big Finish website for £2.99, download only. And then our coming soon section, and this is not that soon. Tom Baker, Matthew Waterhouse, and Lella Ward reunite for Series 9 of the Fourth Doctor Adventures. And with that particular lineup, they can be in only one place. E-Space. That's right, the E-Space trilogy is getting new stories, 4 new adventures in early 2020. See what I mean? For it not being soon? In January 2020, Volume 1 of Series 9 will be released with Purgatory 12 by Mark Platt and Chase the Night by Jonathan Morris. And then the following month, Volume 2 will be released with The Planet of Witches by Alan Barnes and The Quest of the Engineer by Andrew Smith. And the Fourth Doctor Adventures, Volume 1 and 2, will be available in January and February 2020, respectively, and will be £25 CD, £20 download per volume from Big Finish. That's something that I'll be looking forward to. Of course, man, it's happening in 2020, and that's
Oh
literally going to blow my mind.
Oh gosh.
Why set the Wayback Machine for 1996, 1997 at Madison Area Technical College, where I met a fellow by the name of Robert Labe, a person that we still know to this day. And he introduced me to a game called Cyberpunk, which took place in the year 2020. The far-off future of 2020. And so, yeah, that's going to be a bit mind-blowing to me. That whole year is just going to be me going, where's my full conversion Borgs? Where's my freaking Aerotech, my cyberware? God damn it!
I mean, it's after 2015 and we still don't have proper hoverboards.
Yeah.
Actually, they're working on that. I actually did see an article on that.
They are seemingly constantly working on that. But the one thing they did get right, though, actually two things they got right. They got the cubbies right, and those self-lacing shoes right.
Mm-hmm.
Michael J. Fox actually has those shoes now, and they work, and he loves them.
Yes.
I'm sure he appreciates them too.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All he has to do is put his pressure of his heels in a certain spot and zip. Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
Righteous.
But yeah, the thing is, I would be reading bits and pieces, because the thing about the Cyberpunk books is they had these very elaborate timelines of events that occurred. And every now and then I'd find an event that occurred in the timeline at the exact same time, and I'd go, oh, crap.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're heading for the dark future, so I'd like,
Well, it
They've
can't be
got-
the
they-
full-on dark future, because not all of it's happened, I assume.
they've got 2 years to get me full-on cyber technology, net running, and the whole enchilada. I want it on my plate right now. Okay, and that will lead us into our final news article.
Okay. So, a few weeks ago, we mentioned an upcoming lawsuit from the BBC regarding leaked footage. Well, we have an update on the 2nd of August. BBC Worldwide Limited filed a request in the United States District Court for the Western District of Washington State under the terms of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA. This 1998 piece of legislation is designed to enable copyright holders to learn the identities of suspected infringers of their copyright material. The subpoena asks software giant Microsoft to disclose to the BBC details of the owner of the OneDrive account on which the stolen clip was stored. It lists the clip by name, IMG underscore 15363.trim.mov, and requests access to the details of the uploader. The subpoena does not need judicial approval. All it needs is to be checked by a court clerk for completeness before being issued to the Microsoft.
Sorry, typo.
To Microsoft. Microsoft will then be required by law to hand over all relevant identification, including the name, email, and other information collected. More as this develops.
I think this is the first time we're actually seeing the DMCA actually being used for what it was intended.
Mm-hmm. Other than bullshit claims on YouTube.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you know it's bullshit, YouTube. Don't lie to us. Parody and review is free for claim.
Yeah, because normally when you see stuff blocked by YouTube, it's for a DMCA violation, but this is actually what it's used for. Somebody stole unreleased material from the BBC and leaked it. So
and they're pissed.
They're very pissed. Because this is also the second series in a row that stuff happened, and last time it was whole episodes. I'm suspecting they are feeling fortunate. It was only about a 90-second clip.
Yeah.
As opposed to an entire incomplete 45-minute episode without special effects. Because I remember, actually, it was longer than that, because I think it was Capaldi's first episode that got leaked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because I think I remember watching Capaldi's first episode without the special effects on it.
I was going to say, it's been more than a year. It's been at least 2, if not 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll be surprised if the BBC haven't upped their security sort of stuff with this now. And they just limit, everything surrounding this, so, as few hands touch this stuff as possible.
The problem is, they kind of have to do that already. The thing is that, they need to have the images, the stuff subtitled in multiple languages for broadcast in Latin America, in Asia, in non-English speaking parts of Europe, etc. And that means that each one of those has to go to a different subtitler. And it was one of these, it was the Latin America subtitler in Florida last time that caused the issue. They took that episode and they uploaded it to the internet off of some BitTorrent site or something.
Yeah.
I thought it was that they had it in a Dropbox or something and people found it.
Something like that. They whatever it is, they didn't handle it well, and I'm pretty sure he got fired for it. Whether it was deliberate or accidental, either way, it made it that, and the scripts for the first 5 episodes all made their way onto the internet, and it was a nightmare. That was series 8. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. Yeah, that was just, oh dear, somebody dropped the ball big.
Yep. So after that, and now this, just the BBC's had enough. They're done. They're going. They've launched all the legal guns at this.
Mm.
Cracking
All
the
right.
whip.
That is the end of our news section. There's really nothing from the rumor mill, except I normally we don't go into politics, but David Tennant took a couple of shots at Donald Trump over the week.
Ooh.
For his basically equating England and Great Britain as the same thing.
And it's not.
Oh, it's not. It is not. England is a country that exists within Great Britain. Scotland is a country that sometimes reluctantly exists within Great Britain.
Wales
Is a country that exists within Great Britain. Northern Ireland is a country that, I guess you really can't call them countries anymore because Great Britain is the country. But, it's kind of like, I don't even want to use the term states because they were former countries in their own right before becoming part of Great Britain. They're more like, even the term Commonwealth doesn't seem to be correct either. They're more like regions these days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think about the United States, we've got the Midwest, New England, the Deep South, the Mid-Atlantic. Yeah. And that's kind of more what it's like, really. With a little bit more of a national pride. They were a country before, so they still hold to that nationalistic pride. We're Scotland, We're Scotland, we're Wales. Northern Ireland's a little bit messier because of the whole separation from Ireland piece. But yeah. They're a country, but they're not. It's weird. If you want to go by political legalness, they're not because they're part of Great Britain. But if you ask anybody on the street there, they're a country. Okay. So, Thomas saw some movies, apparently, this week. We will go with them in order of release, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
So the first one in release order that you saw was Incredibles 2, one that we have talked about previously when Aaron and I went to go see it over the 4th. But we're interested to hear your take on it, so go ahead.
It's sort of annoying because I went into it and I'm pretty sure the villain had been spoiled for me, so that the kind of twist reveal of that was kind of lessened. But overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I like the fact that we had, like, the first Incredibles movie is pretty clearly Mr. Incredibles movie. And I guess without, going into detail, this is not entirely, but it is very, the focus is mainly on Elastigirl. So it's like, and it's not like same movie roles reversed. It's a very different movie. I also just generally like that the kids actually have something to do this time. I mean, they sort of have a bit to do in the first movie, but they actually get some time to shine in this one. Frozone being back is great. I was still iffy about the fact that it follows on directly from the first one. Because I thought they'd do what they usually do, like with what they did with Toy Story 3, where they just acknowledged the time that had
passed.
Yeah.
And they absolutely did not here.
It literally, and it's no spoiler to say because it's in the trailers and all that it literally starts at the end of the first movie. But that being said, what we got, I still generally liked. There is some stuff in there that I remember some people complaining about the way, superheroes are held up as gods in the first one. And I didn't really see that as much. This one, it's kind of a bit more there, but it didn't bug me too much. Though the villain generally not being a one note, compared to Syndrome. Like, I like Syndrome, but I kind of prefer this villain, to be honest, because they're actually a bit more complex. And I can like one note villains. But
I still think Syndrome had some of the better dialogue, though.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh my god, you caught me monologuing, was like, you know.
I was actually just thinking that too.
Yeah. And I guess that's also the other thing. I like that even the villain, despite having kind of similar like not entirely the same motivations, but in the same vein vaguely, it's not just Syndrome again. Like, it's a different villain completely. Different tactics as well. Different everything.
Different, same goal, basically.
Yeah. And I do like that. Oh God! Wow, I blanked there. I do really like the fact that we have to see. Well, really, I guess I like that we get to actually see more of the world. Not like a hell of a lot, but like they even go to a new city at one point. And all this. And we really get to learn not much more, but we actually get to learn a bit more about Helen / Elastigirl. But yeah, like I just really hope, considering this movie made over a friggin' billion, I really hope that means that we get an Incredibles 3 within a decade, and it doesn't take us another fucking 14 years to get another one.
Right?
Yeah, that would be nice. If so, do you think the focus on that one should be on Dash and or Violet?
Yes. Like, that is like, that's mainly what I want to see, is I want to see the trend continue of Incredibles 1 is Mr. Incredible's movie, 2 is Elastigirl's movie. So I want more focus on the kids next time, and also kind of want them to be, even if they don't age them up much, I kind of want them to be aged up slightly, just so they can actually...
1.05 billion, not bad.
Because I just, like, there's part of me that almost just wants them to time skip to where the kids are not necessarily like full grown in their 40s adults, but like even just in their like early to mid 20s or something, just so we can see like from their perspective, but not. We've had them as kids twice. It'd be nice to kind of age them up a bit.
Bring them up to bring up to a point where we can see them as individuals.
Yeah. Even if it's just a case of like Violet's in college and Dash is in high school or something like that, since there's enough of an age gap that could probably work. Just so that it'd be like it's something different. Because I also feel one sort of criticism I have is that Violet feels like she got more in the first movie. She actually had character development in the first movie. She kind of had character development in this one. Dash has had nothing, I would argue. So it's kind of annoying to me that Dash is just kind of there. But Violet is the one that sort of gets something.
Well, there are some issues with this movie. A full year of production was lost on this movie when Disney or Pixar decided to just arbitrarily swap Toy Story 4 and Incredibles 2.
Yeah, apparently, apparently Toy Story 4 was having production issues, so they gave it an extra year.
by sacrificing a year from Incredibles 2.
Yeah.
Which left there was a lot of lingering plot lines that had to be cut because of the production issues.
Yeah.
Brad Bird has stated that the lingering plot lines could lead to a third installment.
And the funny thing is like after seeing it the first time, because the funny thing is I actually ended up seeing it twice, though I will admit that the second time was more so that I'd had, and this isn't this person's fault, because this person clearly had like a verbal tick they couldn't control, but it was just very loud and very distracting. So, through no fault of their own, it kind of took me out of the movie, so I went and saw it again like the next day. And it held up, I must admit. I was not necessarily... I mean, I liked it, but I was iffy about whether it would hold up seeing it that soon for a second time. But thankfully it did.
Some movies you can do that. I mean, I remember when the first Deadpool movie came out, Aaron and I literally watched it back to back. Aaron literally stood up during the final credits, went out to the thing, and bought tickets for the next showing.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we loved that movie that much. It is the only movie to date I have ever done that. By the way,
all dinosaurs fear the T-Rex.
That's my favorite line.
But yeah, like I'm definitely glad I saw it. I don't regret seeing it twice. I'll probably be getting it when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah, I'm tempted to. I want to get that, and I want to get Incredibles 1, and I want to watch them back to back. Just like it's one extended movie.
Yeah.
Do you think part of the reason, again, that Mr. Incredible took such a back seat is because Craig T. Nelson's voice didn't age well?
It might be, but to be honest, I think it works anyway, or at least they were able to work around it if that was the case. And I guess during the whole subplot of the sort of over his head dad probably helps with his voice having not aged well. Though, in that, funnily enough, that would actually be another argument for if another one happens. Well, I wouldn't say rush it into production, but try to get production on the third one going as quickly as possible, just in case, because you never know if the last one took 14 years. And just have them be an old couple, like they've retired from superheroing because they're just getting too old for this shit. And you can bring the original voices back, and it won't matter that his voice hasn't aged well because he'll be an old man anyway.
They already did have to replace the voice of Dash.
Right. Yeah. Because they had an actual kid, and then whoops, we need another kid. Whereas Violet wasn't a problem because the woman is in like her 30s or 40s or something. The voice is her.
Also, there was another voice that got replaced too. And that one had to because that particular actor died.
Ah, yeah. It seems to be an unfortunate trend for Pixar.
And that was the government agent that was in the
Deca, I think it was.
Yeah. He his voice actor was originally Bud Lucky, who was a character designer in a number of films, including Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Monster Incorporated, Finding Nemo, pretty much all of them. And yeah, he died in February this year, so. And apparently he was probably sick, so they replaced him with Jonathan Banks. So I thought they did. I thought they did okay with that. I didn't notice it.
Well, yeah, neither did I. And there have been voice changes that they've done before, like Toy Story has had at least one major one, and that one's very noticeable, or at least more noticeable. Whereas this one, I could not if I wouldn't even if someone had told me, I would have been like, no, they didn't. Like I would not have noticed.
Yeah.
I also kind of hope that the next, I guess, as a last thing, I do hope that a potential sequel would kind of really go for the fact that kind of move on from the oh fuck superheroes kind of villain and just go with like a different kind of villain next time.
Just so they're not retreading the same.
Yeah. And generally, I'd like them to like exploit the fact that it's like, okay, like superheroes are coming back into the forefront now anyway, so it's like let's exploit that for a third one. That'd be great.
You know, I would kill to see an Incredibles television series.
I'm kind of surprised. Like, yeah, in a way, it's kind of surprising that there isn't.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't happen because almost everything else that Pixar did back in that day became a television series at the time. So,
well, yeah, even bloody Buzz Lightyear had a friggin' 2D cartoon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Toy Story has a modern 3D cartoon going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm surprised we haven't seen Incredibles, the series.
Yeah, especially because it could always be used as, like, a fill-in-the-gaps to, like, set up. Like, you could have this as, like, okay, it's going to be, like, 10 years before we give you another movie, so here's a TV show that'll run for, like, I don't know, 5.
Mm-hmm.
To hold you over.
Yeah, it would have been nice the first time. It would be even nicer now. But yeah, I'm hoping this will wake Pixar up and go, hey, yeah, this is making money. Let's put more of this on the schedule.
Yeah.
Keep making more unofficial Fantastic Four fiction.
In the time it took them to make Incredibles 2, they cranked out 3 Cars movies. If this doesn't justify cranking out a third Incredibles movie, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
Three more Cars movies.
God.
There's not enough bullets to eat.
Yeah, I've never been fond of the whole Cars franchise. Because it is a franchise now, because it includes planes. Which is the same universe, different vehicle, and it's like, no, go away.
I keep forgetting about planes.
I wish I could.
All right, so the second movie you went to see is Ant-Man and the Wasp, one that Aaron and I have not seen because, you know, time and money are issues.
Yeah. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. Like, I enjoyed the first one. Like a lot of people with the first one, I was like, oh yeah, I'll give it a go. And came out of it like, holy shit, I actually really enjoyed this movie. And it was the same thing with this. Like, I went in, like, not so much hyped, but, like, generally interested, because, like, oh, sweet, we get a full movie with, oh, God, I forget the actress name. Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp, like, properly. It's not even, like, oh, she becomes a Wasp, like, halfway in or something. She's just Wasp the whole way through. And it's just like, this is very, like, quite easily better than the first one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, now we have to go see this, honey.
Because I guess at the same time, it also has the benefit of having a movie behind it. So you don't really have to introduce characters.
Yeah, it's not an origin movie.
Yeah, the villain isn't the typical Marvel same powers as the hero shtick.
Yeah.
There are certain performances I would almost want to praise, but I think they'd be spoilers, so I'm not going to. But generally, I loved Paul Rudd in this. I loved Evangeline Lilly in this. Michael Douglas. Like, pretty much all the cast is great. I do not remember groaning at any jokes. I don't remember finding anything to be stupid. Actually, really, I won't go into it, but I do like Lawrence Fishburne in this as well. He does. Like, I really enjoyed him in this movie because, like, at first, when I saw him in the trailers, I was like, oh, okay. This'll, like, probably be a one-off scene or something, and without spoiling anything, no, he shows up more than once. Yeah, it's a good movie. There are two post-credit, well, a mid-credits and a post-credits scene. You're not really missing much with the full post-credits scene. It's kind of funny, but without saying what it is, it's just kind of one of those, yep, this is a thing for you to watch. The mid-credits one is definitely the one that you don't want to walk out before it happens.
That seems to be the way. That seems to be the way that the MCU is doing it these days. We'll give you the big one on the mid credit scene, and then for those of you that are willing to sit through the entire credits, here's a funny little bit for you.
Yeah. But, and also it's kind of there's one thing that I kind of want to mention, but it's like it's kind of spoilery if I even allude to it, so I'm not going to. But yeah, great fun movie. I'm glad I finally got to see it. I think it's actually been phased out in my hometown now, which kind of sucks because I would definitely have been willing to see this again. But oh well. I wish I'd seen it.
It is kind of a huge summer spectacular this year of just
Yeah.
hit movie, hit movie, hit movie, hit movie.
Yeah. Yeah, like I regret not seeing it earlier, but I am glad that I did get around to seeing it before my hometown rotated it out. So, like, if you were a fan of the first AntMan movie, you were gonna, as far as I'm concerned, there is a very good chance that you will enjoy the hell out of this one.
Okie doke.
Yep, I'm actually just quickly checking here. Ant-Man and the Wasp is still showing here. Although looks like it's down to one theater.
I was gonna say it's probably getting close to out though.
Yeah, it's the big one now is Mission Impossible Fallout, which I don't care about.
Nope.
I've heard oddly positive reviews about that movie, actually.
They always keep getting oddly positive reviews. I don't know why.
Like, from people I wouldn't expect to like those movies, I've seen people say, wow, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's for me. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the Mission Impossible movies, to be honest.
Neither
I only
have
saw
I.
the first one back in, like, what was that, the late 90s?
Ant-Man and the Wasp is still showing as of Friday too, so hey, means it's going to be here for at least one more week. Of course, if Aaron and I decide to go, we're going to have to go see a matinee now.
A matinee or go see it on the weekend. At least, supposedly, I get a discount now.
That'll be cool. Well, welcome to benefits of working for a company that's not a little rinky-dink family company that hates everyone that lives.
Congrats, you found a job worthwhile, and they're not assholes. Whee!
So far, no.
All right, so that's it for our Geek Talk section. We are up to our episode summary.
I did it last time.
Yep.
I intended on trying to do it this time, but I think my nose is too blocked up and I'll get a bit vomity if I try to do it.
How about you, Aaron? One
No.
last time.
One last go, Aaron.
Yeah, not really. I'm not up to it. I can't surpass the last one I did. Actually, the first one I did.
The
I've
only
only
one
done
you did.
two.
Only
Oh,
one
you only
you
did two.
Yeah, I've done two, but the first one was the best.
Do it again. Do it again.
All right.
Aw.
I get the stopwatch started. Get the stopwatch up and going.
It's up.
Okay. Then give me a time.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
We start the episode focusing on a young lady walking, having calls from her family, dealing with a party that apparently their family is completely and totally dysfunctional. But that's not really important, so we won't deal with it anymore. As she's walking her way to her work, school, whatever you want to call it, she's accosted by a man that we know as the doctor, who basically takes off his tie in front of her and goes, "So there," and walks off. Confuzzled by this, she goes to work in a hospital where she is basically training to become a doctor. While taking class, she comes across the same patient, or the same man who's a patient there, except he couldn't have been out there because he was there all day. While discussing more stuff with her family on the phone, everybody is startled that she should look outside at the rain, because the rain is raining upwards. And with a flash, the entire hospital is teleported to the moon. Of course, this results in everybody freaking out because they all think they're about to die from, oxygen leaking out of the hospital, what have you. But Martha notices they're not. And she points this out. And the patient, i.e. the doctor, notices this and actually starts a discourse with her on what to do. The other nurse that's in the area is absolutely freaking out, and the doctor just kind of goes, "Yeah, who cares about you?" And they go out onto the veranda, as it was, and discuss how they're able to breathe. The doctor throws a small piece of debris at the wall and says, "Force field." And shortly after that, 3 spaceships land and a whole bunch of armored figures come stomping towards the hospital. Well, the doctor immediately identifies those as Jadoon, although they looked a lot like Santarans to the rest of us at the time, let me tell you. At least until they take their helmet off inside the hospital, and they look like giant rhinos. Space rhinos on the moon. Initially speaking their language, which apparently all ends in O, one of the guys starts babbling almost incoherently. The rhino takes a device, listens to his babble, plugs it in, and it manages to decipher Earth English, and says that everyone will be cataloged. And scanning people, identifying them as human, would mark them with an X on their hands, like they're expecting to get into Disneyland or something. This goes on, except for one lady who we did see earlier complaining of salt deficiency. Immediately apparently turns into a vicious alien and drinks the hospital director dry. Apparently this is because she is disguising herself as a human. This is unfortunately witnessed at the end of this by Martha, who tells the doctor, who of course they are going to go tell the rhinos, but of course the rhinos are looking for anything non-human, and the doctor is immediately scanned as such, forcing him to flee. This of course involves a series of little madcap chase through there, and at one point the doctor kisses Martha. Why? Genetic transfer. So when they scan Martha, they find non-human DNA, which gives them time for a rescan. But it also gives the doctor to confront the alien and have her drink him. Thus, when Martha tells them to rescan, they identify her as non-alien and identify her as the hemivore they're looking for, which apparently ate the princess of some planet somewhere out there. Unfortunately, the Judoon, being basically Space Judge Dredd, once they've accomplished their mission, are also assholes and basically decide to leave, even knowing that the alien has basically set one of the MRI machines on overload, which would basically wipe out half the planet. Not their problem. Bunch of space sticks. So they take off. Martha manages to revive the doctor using CPR, essentially. And no, another doctor is not overtly called because of this. Buffy joke, for those who didn't get it. And he manages to shut down the MRI machine before it's too late, and the Judoon sends everybody back to the hospital while people are almost dead from asphyxiation, saving them all at the last minute. Initially, the doctor goes off in his TARDIS, but after a horrible party, which involves a bunch of the dysfunctional family members fighting with each other, the doctor shows up in Martha's apartment and invites her to go with him on a trip. Martha eventually agrees, after the doctor leaves in the TARDIS for a moment and comes back with his tie in his hands, finishing the circle that started the entire episode. The end.
He met her in a back alley, not her apartment.
Oh, was back alley? Okay.
Yeah, she literally followed him down an alley.
Oh, yeah, the apartment was the later episode. Sorry, my brain did kind of skip track there.
Wow, I'm disease-riddled and I can remember this better, slightly.
Well, mind you, I was also writing up the episode news while watching this.
Also, you did it in 5 minutes, 14 seconds.
Ah, wow, little long. That's okay. A lot happened in a 1 hour episode. All right.
Was it 1 hour?
It was a 45-minute episode, yeah.
Still not 1 hour.
Well, if you watched it on TV, it would be in an hour time.
American television, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Adverts. Have we mentioned adverts? Whee!
So let's move on to what we like and we don't like. So we'll start with Bill's comments, since he's not here to bring secondaries. What he liked is he found this to be the perfect use of suspense and stakes. The stakes keep getting higher and the chances of victory keep getting slimmer. The air going out plus the Judoon plus Finnegan's antics are a textbook example of how to keep things interesting. Okay. Thomas, how about you? What did you like about the episode overall?
I like the villain.
Finnegan?
Yeah, Finnegan, because that could have been like really, really hammy, especially with how silly it is, the whole drinking blood through it and plasma through a straw and all that. But that
I assumed the straw was actually like a proboscis of some kind, but you can't see it.
Yeah.
She kind of shapeshifted herself.
Right.
So I like to imagine her looking like a giant space mosquito.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like generally the way that woman plays it just totally sells it for me. Like they could have made her like this really over the top cackling villain, but the way she plays it, where for the most part until like the very end, she's pretty subtle. For the most part, she's just kind of like
she's a little bit ham, but it's only ham to the point where she can still remain very sinister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was generally really fun.
All right. Let's see who's next on the list. That would be Tim.
I really liked Martha in this episode. I think she showed a healthy curiosity about what was going on, as well as I think this is an example of someone an appropriate amount of cynicism. The world that she isn't taken in by the doctor's claims to be an alien right away, but
when faced with the irrefutable proof, she's like, okay.
She's okay.
Although, considering the fact that she knew he had two hearts earlier, you would have thought she would have been a little less cynic about it. Because remember, she had to take his heartbeat, and I just like the fact that he.
I'm thinking, being a doctor, she might have said, "This is an unprecedented genetic anomaly,"
That's possible. I do believe that in the Doctor Who movie, when Grace Holloway heard the Doctor's heartbeats, she originally thought maybe he was some kind of military or scientific experiment. But this was the 90s. Yeah. All right, Aaron.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that I actually quite enjoyed the Jadoon. I felt that quite a bit of work was put into both the costumes, like the helmets and the armor and such, and the rhinos on top of it, the rhino head. So, and yes, kind of the animatronics for the lips were a little bit loose and stuff, but a lot better than if they had been done with CGI. I kind of appreciate how much work that went into it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And just their overall character reminded me of Judge Dredd.
Yeah, I did mention that in the summary that and it had never hit me before watching it this time. The whole yes, you're guilty of this. The sentence is execution. I wasn't really big in Judge Dredd back then, so I'm imagining Jadoon going, "I am the law." Now it's actually,
and it's actually, and they aren't evil. They do put everyone back eventually, but they are thoroughly at the Jadoon's mercy.
Yeah, the Jadoon are also dicks. I mean. Yeah, we've got there done. Where it's not our problem.
Not a problem. Bye.
And hell, the only two people they kill the entire time are the villain and someone who is stupid enough to attack them.
But at the same time, they don't bother to undo anything the villain did. They're just like, nah.
Yeah.
Not our problem. But it's going to kill us. Police. Not our problem. Yeah, well, the Shadow Proclamation has always kind of been a little bit dickish. All right. So that was Tim. So looks like that was Aaron. So Matt.
Overall thing I liked.
I'm gonna just highlight the review order as I do it, so that I'll know where I am.
Trying to think of something that hasn't been hit on yet. I like the what do they call them, slabs?
Yeah.
The bizarre biker dudes.
Yeah, essentially they were more or less cyborgs, but they were really cleverly disguised cyborgs. And as the doctor noted, apparently mostly made of leather. So they just kind of blended in naturally as long as they didn't mess with the helmets at all.
Yeah, I thought they were kind of generic though.
They were generic, but that was kind of the point because they're trying to blend in as much as possible, despite being bikers hanging around a hospital.
No, I meant more. I meant more on a acting status. It was not a speaking role.
It's hard to do much when you're just literally a guy in biker leathers with a helmet and just I am being badass. Notice how I'm creepy because I don't even talk to people. They were for being one-note thugs. They were perfectly serviceable and fine, and they could easily make a return. Possibly a different variant.
Yeah. Sorry,
This is literally me just digging for something because everything else I could have noted was already taken.
All right.
Hmm.
So honest to God, I liked Tennant in this. He had the enthusiasm.
Of course.
Yeah, nobody had mentioned Tennant. So yeah, he still comes off with all the enthusiasm in him. There was only one moment where he was emo, which unfortunately would become a more and more thing the rest of this season. As it would become Tennant going, Rose, Rose, but yeah.
Meanwhile, the fan
this
base in the
one-
background in the distance started yelling, "Stop!"
in this one at least he was more enthusiastic. Okay, so what we disliked, and okay, Bill, his thoughts, what he didn't like. Martha's friend Julia. She's the standout local. The person in whom, excuse me, trying to read this, in most episodes would help save the day, but they needed to show how good Martha was, so instead they made her a miserable lump who we just get to watch stay miserable when everyone else falls unconscious. That would be bad enough, but the fact that she's treated as an annoyance by Martha just makes it worse. It's reasonable for a doctor to find woman having an existential crisis and terror for her life as an annoyance, but the doctor and friend should stop and care for a moment. Really, she's just basically woman Mickey at this point.
Yeah.
That's kind of her role.
Hmm.
And we've had enough of Mickey at this point, at least being the way he was.
Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of like, eh. And I mean, it was a point. It was the point there was to basically state, not just how good Martha was, but trying to differentiate people that should be a companion from shouldn't, which was Mickey's role in the first episode. Still, I can see why she might have been annoying. And I do also think it wasn't so much that she was defined as a friend, but she was a coworker. Probably coworker friend, but not, my best friend and confidant. Okay, Thomas, how about you? What annoyed you?
God, actually, isn't all that much, I don't think. Honestly, yeah, even though it doesn't happen too much, I'll just have to reach and go with Tennant's angst because it's just like, we're like, just get over it.
I know it really bothers me that they had to make it that they basically made the rest of the Tennant era all about, oh my God, I lost Rose. It even bothers me in the Donna era how much it's still about Rose.
Well, yeah, like I actually remember seeing like a comic once where it was like him with Rose and being like, yay, and then Martha being like, oh, I wish I had Rose, and then Donna. So it's just like Martha's just the odd one out that gets like totally ignored. But yeah, like the funny thing is, if it was just that first moment where he was like, oh yeah, I was there when that happened at Canary Wharf, and that was it, then it'd be fine. Because he didn't have to mention Rose because we know what he means. And he's just, but then like right at the end of the episode mentioning her and we were together and like that stuff was just like, why?
That's actually the part what I said was him emoing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was the, oh yeah, we were together, blah blah blah, and that's when you can see him go dark. Mentioning what happened at Canary Wharf should put a dark spot in his. It should give him a bit emo-y, because yeah, Daleks, yeah. Dalek's non-favorite memory. That should be, but that was at the best. It was a momentary darkness, so it was dealable. But yeah. The bit at the end is where it was really kind of annoying. All right, Tim.
I was kind of annoyed by the stupidity of the humans in the hospital, as well as the overlying negativity of the humans in the hospital. It's like exemplified by that one guy who attacks the Jadoon and gets killed. But then it's like the first time we see in the moon, we see a shot of people just crying and screaming, and it's like, yeah, so what? You're on the moon. Buck up. Toughen up. You're an extra in a science fiction fantasy series. You should be used to this. This, it's like, I don't know. I think a more appropriate of response would be sort of bewilderment or
maybe a few people freaking out, but yeah, most of it would be bewilderment and highly surprised.
Yeah. I feel...
It's like, yeah.
The funny thing is, I feel like if this episode was done today, half of those people would have turned around and pulled their phones out.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Where the fuck would they get service?
True.
They don't need service to take a picture.
Last I checked, Verizon doesn't cover the moon.
Again, doesn't take service to take a picture. It saves to your memory.
Yeah, the whole thing of we don't believe it would have been kind of different with smartphones and with smartphones taking the damn shot, it would have. But
even cell phones back then could take pictures. Not the greatest, but they could still take pictures.
Yeah, but it wasn't ingrained into our mentality as it is now.
Yeah.
The camera on a cell phone back then was still kind of a novelty thing. Okay, Aaron?
I'm gonna go ahead and say that I wasn't that fond of the Hemivore. I thought she was kind of boring, actually. She tried to be menacing, and of course she's like also kind of an old lady, but I kind of felt like it would have been a lot more interesting to see it change shape, to actually have it be a shape-changing creature, I guess.
That would have been nice to see.
Yeah.
At least just like once or twice, have it take the form of a different human.
I would have also liked to see when it attacked, just maybe had a brief, 1-2 second CGI flash of what it actually looked like.
Or even just like pan up and you see a shadow of something.
Even just that, just so that they help underlie that this is not what it looks like. But we don't get any of that, so it was kind of like, eh. Yeah, I was not. I thought they could have done a little more with the Hemivore. All right, Matt.
Oh gosh, I had something now. I completely forgot what it was. Brain, why do you fail me right now? I literally had something. Oh, right. Actually, one thing that I kind of found annoying, like, not all of them, but a majority of Martha's family is discernibly unlikable, at least in this episode.
Actually, they're mostly unlikable throughout the entire third season.
Most of them are, yes.
Mm.
Like I mentioned, they're a completely dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
It does bring to question how they ever were a family, to be honest. Just the level of how much vile and hatred is flowing through all their veins.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I actually get it a little more, because apparently Martha's parents had gone through a very messy divorce.
Mm.
And as a child who has been in a messy divorce, I am completely sympathetic to that.
Mm.
Yeah. Although I must admit the circumstances of my own mother and father's divorce was a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Considering it was my father basically saying, yeah, by the way, I'm gay. So...
A wee bit late.
Yeah.
Like I'm like a bit forgiving with the family aspect, pretty much because I figured that was like, okay, we need a reason for her to want to leave. Shitty family life was probably a pretty as many reasons as I could have come up with. Oh, I'm sick of having to deal with all this shit. I want to get away. It's like, oh, sweet, here's an out.
I suppose, but also just wow.
Mm.
The levels of unlikable.
Yeah.
And I
Like
think in particular the parents are the least likable people.
Well, yeah, like I said, they've gone through a bitter divorce. They're probably fine people, just not when they're by each other.
And then they're just dragging their kids into it too, because it's one of their birthdays, and just ugh.
Yeah, it's just catching your family at a really bad, awkward moment.
Mm.
And it's like I said, it's because like I said, bad divorce, and so I understand them. I still don't think they're the greatest of people.
Yeah.
But I at least understand them. Okay. So, and I kind of brought this up, but I'm going to expound on it a little. What I didn't like was, I think, the way some of the CGI was used in this particular episode. Not that there was anything particularly wrong with the CGI. I just thought it could have been done better.
Yeah. And really, back when this was done, it seems like it probably would have been cheaper to have a model for some stuff.
It depends.
Like the moonscape and the hospital itself seems like you could have probably done that.
It was still had the CGI of the ships in though. Because those had to actually move, whereas everything else could just be static.
Yeah.
It was that, and like I said, I thought that they could have done a little bit with the Hemivore, and I really hated that the Jibdoon looked like Santarans.
I think that was mostly a design problem.
With elongated noses.
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, are we actually going to see new Santarans? Of course, we would see them a season later, but it's that's the first thing that came into my mind is, oh my god, are we going to see Santarans? No, we're not.
Oh, that's not Santaran. Oof.
Yeah, and of course, what are the odds of an alien race actually looking like a rhino?
I'll bet someone out there could answer that.
Actually, I think the one time that I noticed the CG actually failed them was when they did that close-up of the hole where the hospital used to be. You can see some weird artifacting around the police officers as they're trying to keep the crowds back.
Mm.
It's just like, ooh, someone didn't quite mat that right.
Yeah, it was just I really thought that it could be that they were doing it on a time budget, or this could have been the same time that the mill was separating out into Milk VFX,
Possibly.
and thus they had teething issues. Because you remember that the first season was done by the mill, and the mill was primarily known for doing short CGI bits for commercials. And Doctor Who was one of the first things that they had to do that was a full-length, TV series. So, and that's kind of why they split off into Milk VFX to handle actual television series and stuff. And this just could have been a teething issue. But either way, it just felt like it failed.
Oh.
Okay. Favorite scene? Bill's comments. His is, despite what I complained about earlier, the scene where Martha and Doctor go out to the surface of the moon and the Doctor introduces himself is just great. I have to agree, that is a really good scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so Thomas, your favorite scene?
Ooh. God.
You knew this was coming.
Actually, you know what? How the Doctor stops the MRI scanner from frying everyone, because he's just the whole, oh shit, I don't have my screwdriver, so he just literally ends up having to plug something.
He pulled a Mickey.
That is, by the way, something I actually liked from this series, is the fact that how completely, how it is kind of a thing to what Bill said. It's like how the Doctor, first he gets cut off from his TARDIS, then he loses his screwdriver. So it's like his own resources just kept dwindling and dwindling as well. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I don't have my screwdriver. So yeah, let's just, pull the plug, so to speak. Tim, how about you?
I really loved the scene where the Doctor decides to solve the problem. He takes Martha with him and he tells off Julia, saying, if you don't have anything to, can you shut up? Because he was just like basically telling me at that point is like, because that's what I wanted to do for the negativity.
Yeah, that's the scene right before they go out on the terrace, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was actually going to be mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, that's the whole point of me going last, is to let you guys have first cracks at all of it. Yeah, and it's regardless of what Bill said, that he didn't like the bit there with Julia freaking out. I understand somebody freaking out like that. These are people that should never, ever, ever be astronauts.
Yeah.
Because they're suddenly, in a place, there's no air around them, there's nothing but death around them, death below them, death anywhere they go, and they're just like, I don't know what to do. And they just panic.
Run around circles screaming, yeah.
They don't handle that kind of pressure well. And obviously Julia is that kind of person that doesn't handle pressure well. This is completely beyond her realm of experience, and she's just, she's gone. And the Doctor, because the fact that that realizes that's just basically the kind of person she is, can't take the pressure, she's out of there, is just dismisses her, not her, she's only going to get in the way. I liked that. It made sense to me.
Mm-hmm. He's being a bit blunt, but there's no time to sit around and panic at a moment
Well,
like
no,
that.
he's not being blunt. He's being rude and not ginger. Get it right.
Isn't that the same thing, though?
Yes, but that is the exact term, is rude and not ginger. Actually, I think that's a trope now. I think that actually may be listed as in a TV tropes as a trope, rude and not ginger. Doctor Who has pioneered a few tropes, by the way. Okay. So we're down to my least favorite scene.
No.
Oh,
I think we just did Tim and Thomas.
Okay, so Aaron's least favorite scene.
Yeah.
Sorry.
My least. Wait. We
Or
never got a chance to do my
favorites.
favorite
Sorry.
scene.
Favorite. Wow, you're skipping all over the place.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My head's still a little bit.
Oh gosh.
All right, so my favorite scene is going to be the one where the Hemivore, and like one of the few scenes that I like her in, she confronts the Doctor and tells him that he's laughing at the darkness. So, I mean, and it is kind of true. He's kind of trying to push away all the depression and anger and stuff that he's feeling from the Time War still.
Well, there's a little bit of that, but also since the Fourth Doctor, he's always been known to laugh in face of danger.
Yeah, pretty much.
What a wonderful butler! He's so violent. How are you?
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good summary, a pretty good reading of the Doctor's character, which is kind of surprising. I mean, well, I guess it's not too surprising because her coming off as a old lady, and kind of creepy old ladies always seem to be a lot more perceptive about the people around them than you expect them to be. So, all right, that's mine.
All right, Matt.
I'll take this one as my favorite scene. Martha, it's just after Martha is checked on, and actually no, just before she checks on him, and he finds out the two hearts. She's like, "I bumped you outside." No, you didn't. He looked exactly like you. Do you have a brother or something? No, not anymore.
Yeah. By the way, that's a little interesting bit of trivia.
Yeah. Labeled that as under the stamp of "we have extended family."
More shit we don't know about the Doctor. He had a brother.
Probably still has actually a brother now that the Gallifrey's back.
Mind you, that in itself was a side-along reference to the fact that, and they make fun of this later in the series too, in that the fact that the Master was originally going to be the Doctor's brother. if Delgado hadn't died. But because Delgado died, they never did that plot line. So,
and they almost did it again with Ainley, but then decided not to.
Probably for the best.
But yeah, it was just one of those things that could almost happen, never did. So. They toyed with it, because later on they'd say, "I thought he was your secret brother or something," and you've been watching too much TV, so. Oh.
Come to find out his brother's one of the military guys or something.
We never know. The guy he killed in the, All right, so I have to find a new favorite scene because.
Or the one that the Capaldi shot? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, don't think so either.
There would have been mention. Anyway.
Trying to remember what I would find as a favorite scene. I actually think it's the scene where Martha's taking the doctor's pulse. Because, and he's just absolutely enjoying himself. And he's just looking at her like...
Looks the other side.
He knows
he's just sitting there smiling.
Yes.
that shit-eating grin of his.
Mm-hmm. He's absolutely knowing what she's hearing and knowing her brain is going, what the hell? And just absolutely, he's just having a great old time with that.
Hi there, madam. Yes, I am beating out a samba.
All right, so least favorite scenes. And we go to Bill's. And his worst scene is the scene in the lounge where Martha is on the phone and is just being pissy. Don't add too much to the episode. It was just more of the horrible family is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So
yeah.
Doesn't add much to the episode, and what it does add could have been done in a different scene. Really, I think, because that's the scene where they reveal that it's raining upwards, I think.
Well, it could have just been a talk between her and her coworker at that point.
It could have been.
Could have helped develop the coworker better.
And I think the part was they were trying to introduce the family because they would become relevant later.
Meh.
They were Chekhov's family.
But yeah, not the best scene in the world. Thomas.
Quite easily, and we've technically touched on it already, but Martha joining the Doctor and the TARDIS, and it starts out fine. It's enjoyable where he's just kind of waiting for her to say it's bigger on the inside and that and whatever. But then when it gets to, oh no, you only get one trip and then you're back home because you're not replacing Rose and all this, and I'd rather be alone in Nemo, and it's just like, what the fuck? You were doing so well.
Biggest
and then you have
liar.
To pull that crap.
Yeah, when the Doctor gets all emo about this, is generally when I get pissed. Because I have the same reaction to Matt Smith in The Snowmen, where he's basically just isolated himself after losing Amy and Rory. It's just like, oh, come on, you're the Doctor. You're fucking hundreds of years old. You've lost tons of people.
And he still sulks like a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking deal with it.
Doesn't that make him human, the fact that no matter how long he lives, it never gets any easier?
Kinda.
I thought he was kind of supposed to be part human at one point. And then
that's the American movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We don't talk about that.
Actually, some parts do, and they say it was only a hidden thing, and they got rid of it.
No.
Actually, we got somebody in the chat. Oh wait, never mind. I'm gonna read this quick first to see what this is. Anyways, continue.
All right. So, Tim, I think it's up to you.
Okay, I really didn't get the scene where the Jadoon scanned the Doctor, and the Doctor immediately runs because the Jadoon were going to kill him then. Because it's like, so it's unclear about whether the Jadoon, know who they're looking for, but, their machines can tell that he's not human, but they can't tell that he's not the alien they want.
I think it's also just the fact that the Doctor doesn't really bother to explain as well, because I guess he figures, they realize I'm not human, so they're just going to shoot me anyway, so he just immediately runs off.
Yeah.
It's an isolated Class 3 planet. There should be nothing but humans on it.
Mm-hmm.
So by their mental thing, if you're not a human, you're basically
I guess even as he says, like, they're very logical, but they're also quite thick.
mhm. thickety thick. Yep. Yeah, he's the Jadoon aren't the sharpest knives in the drawer. So, Aaron, how about you? Least favorite scene?
I'm just gonna go ahead and say the Hemivore walking around with the straw at the beginning when she first attacks the hospital director. It's just like, oh really? It's so corny.
I love that scene.
I know. I mean, it would have been kind of cool if it were like a metal straw, like what they have nowadays. That would have been actually pretty freaking menacing, and also still kind of funny.
Or actually, they do it exactly the same up to the point of, I brought a straw, and all of a sudden she clicks something and a little slimmer pointed needle kind of tip comes out of it. It's like, okay.
Oh yeah, that could have been cool, like an extended needle or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, you got to remember with that, what you see is not actually what's going on. It's hidden behind the wall of shapeshift.
Yeah.
Technically, but we don't know how much it is or isn't.
Again, would have been nice with additional CGI.
Mm-hmm. Or at least shadowing or something. There's so many ways you could have gone about this. Meh.
Yep. So Matt, how about you?
Least favorite scene. I'm going to go. Gosh. Trying to decide which one. I'll go with blathering student equals they're all safe. There's just the guy that met the Dradoon at the door and won't shut his mouth. The entire time they're marching through the hospital. I mean, I understand the guy's in panic mode, but wow, you'd think after a while he'd get tired of wandering after them and constantly yammering on to everybody. That's all safe. It's obviously not that safe.
All right. So my least favorite scene was also my favorite scene. And it's just other parts of the scene. It's basically their teacher, their supervisor, and the complete and total asshole he is.
Yeah.
This is a man that should not teach students, medical or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's 3 years from retirement and he knows it, so he's just giving everyone the dickish time.
Yeah. Instead of thinking, yes, I'm harnessing the minds of future doctors, I'm going to be a jackass. And I know that's probably done so you don't feel bad that he dies later, but still.
And, he's not even, enjoyable about it like Dr. Cox in Scrubs.
Yeah, he's just absolutely just... No.
It doesn't even question why Martha suddenly feels the need to check for a second heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, has anyone else checked this guy?
Yeah. It's just one of those things that's just like, no, that's just ass. Go away. All right. So, now we're up to our final thoughts. And Bill's is... it's a good episode that does some things very well. The Jadoon being too stupid to close off a floor they've checked already and yet still be willing to check someone's status twice certainly harms the episode, though. I think that's outweighed by the benefits. All right. So, Thomas, what are your final thoughts?
I must admit, I think this is the second and third, because I watched this like twice today, times I've ever seen this episode. I didn't really remember much about it, so it was essentially like I was going in blank, but I enjoyed it. Like, it's not ever gonna be in like my top episodes of New Who kind of realm, but it was a definitely serviceable introduction to Martha. We've had worse companion introductions in both New and Old Who.
Rose didn't exactly win any awards, did it?
It establishes that Martha is obviously different from the companion we've had before. Has obviously some faults. The whole angsty doctor stuff, thankfully, isn't there too much. So even though it's an annoying part of it, it's at least brief. But yeah, I like this one.
All right. Tim?
I loved it when the actors really hammed it up, especially the Hemivore, like when she's caught, and also the doctors like play acting for like rhinos on the moon, we're on the moon, and you're an alien. No. But the stupidity of the humans and the stupidity of the Jadoon sort of brought this episode down, in my opinion. But it was saved by the tangent of Smith and Jones, I think.
All right. That everything?
Yep.
All right. Aaron?
I kind of like this one a little bit better now that I've rewatched it. I do like the whole them kind of getting a little bit deeper into, or I think this is their kind of first introduction to the Shadow Proclamation type stuff.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I think
it's
they've
not.
mentioned it before, but they've never
Yeah.
actually shown anything from it until this
And we
episode.
don't really
Yeah.
know that the Jadoon are actually kind of employed by them either. So.
Yeah,
Until later.
We don't find that out until next season.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's I kind of liked it. It was quite different. But I don't think the villain was really. It was an interesting premise for a villain, a unique one. But I like to see it pushed a little bit further, and that could be maybe they spent too much money on the costumes for the Jadoon, so they didn't have any to really spend on anything else.
I mean, the androids had to be bikers, you know?
It could have been a really interesting thing to see the villain shapeshift and always, have the X present on their hand and stuff, so. Or have some way of telling that was the alien that was just shape-shifting. I don't know. But I do like the banter between Martha and the doctor, and I do agree that the humans were kind of stupid in this too. So, well, I don't know. I kind of like this one, and of course it's recommended because it's the introduction of a companion. So, yep, and that's it for me.
Okay. Matt?
The practical effects were pretty well done for the most part, although there was some iffy lip sync with the Dune. The digital effects also for the most part worked, although they could have done a lot more. The acting with Martha and the Doctor was really good. Also, I liked a few moments with the main villain, although we didn't really get enough time with the main villain because there's so much other stuff going on. The Dune were serviceable, but didn't really make a huge impression. And the background humans were all just superfluous and useless, to be honest. They were just extra bodies to add onto the count if things failed. Otherwise, the majority of it worked pretty well, and I think it's at least a solid good episode.
All right, that everything you have to say?
Yep.
So, this episode marks the beginning of, in what my opinion is one of the worst series in the first few series of Doctor Who. It is not by far the worst series overall, because that I have to reserve for Series 6. But for the Russell T Davies era, this is the weakest of the Russell T Davies Doctors. And like a lot of other stuff, this one doesn't bother me too much at first. But there are things that get done. And mind you, I say it's my least favorite, yet there are many episodes in this particular season I like. It's just the dynamic, I think, is a little paler compared to say the second series of Tennant and Rose, or the fourth season of Tennant and Donna. I just think the dynamic in especially the fourth season is so much better. But this episode starts out fairly well, but it's not one that's going to stick in your brain. It's kind of, I mean, the CGI is okay. The CGI is okay, but not special. The writing is good, but not great. The acting is decent, but it's just not memorable, and nothing really stands out for it. So yeah. It's meh. All right, so ratings. And Bill goes first, starting the ball with a 4.0 out of 5. So Bill gives it a 4. All right, so next would be Thomas.
You know what? I'm actually going to have to agree with Bill. I'll give it a 4.
4. Tim?
I'm going to say this was just slightly above average, so 3.5.
Wow.
Ooh.
Tim dives into the low. Aaron?
I'm going to go ahead and give this 3.5 too.
Ooh.
Matt?
I'm with the 4s, actually.
He's with the Force, you get it?
And I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 3.5 myself. It's not really that there's anything wrong with it. It's just mediocre. So with that, it will be a 3.75, rounded up to a 3.8. Make sure that carried through. Oh no, I have been a bad ran today.
Bad ran.
And I forgot to do the ranking numbers. I'm a wee bit slow, but it's been a little bit of a bizarre day for me. So give me just a moment here. Just give me the Jeopardy music, Matt. All right. So with a 3.8, that will take us to where is it? It should be in here someplace.
I'm just glad I didn't have to go into the high notes. I don't think I can hit those today.
Yeah. Should be, and I'm not seeing it, so I'm kind of freaking out here. Actually, let me. No, it should be there. Oh, wait. This is not tracking right. Because this should not be a 3.6.
I have questions.
Yes, so do I. 260. Did it not track right? Yeah, it's not tracking right. Something's not right. Something is quite wrong.
Something is rotten in the state of Denmark.
Actually, yeah, there's quite a bit wrong here. I need to fix. I need to fix something really quick here. Okay.
It's all broken. The system's broken.
That should fix it. For whatever reason, mine and Bill's scores were not tracking on it at all. They weren't copying over.
You don't get a voice.
But I have fixed it. Still only giving it a 3.7. Something else not tracking? So B, Bill, Thomas.
Thought I'm pulling out a blank calculator.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. This is not right.
Still not working.
Hang on a second. Let me go back.
Work, damn you, work.
Something is not right.
It's 4. It's 3/4 and 3.5s. Yes.
That's not the problem. 19, 19, 19. Oh, that's a problem. Tracking you and me simultaneously. That's not what should be happening. What's yours? Okay. So somewhere in yours, your scores became mine.
That ain't right. That ain't right at all.
There we go. Got it fixed.
Yay.
Yeah, now it's looking all right, and that's probably going to change a whole bunch of stuff. Wow. All the technical issues tonight.
Bad Randy.
There we go.
I didn't expect a kind of Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody expects a Spanish Inquisition. Our chief weapons are, etc., etc., etc.
Girl in the Fireplace, End of the World, Dalek Invasion Earth 2150, Day of the Daleks, Red House, Robots of Sherwood, Extremis, Pyramid, yada yada, Time Monster, and Power of the Daleks. It is better than the Moon Base, the Daleks, Flatline, Big Finish Master, Big Finish the Innocent, the Evil One, etc.
I'm sorry, the chat went quiet for a while. What was the score? Oh, for crying out loud. Hello?
1 of 256.
Oh my god. Come on, Discord. Okay, what was the score, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Just as soon as I ask what the score is, it's suddenly muted again.
Okay, with 3.75 out of 5, the score is 141 out of 256.
Okay. Yeesh. Recording system just suddenly died today.
And you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to say that's all we have to say about that.
And I'm going to immediately move right along.
It's already after midnight, and we have to get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Move right along into the holding image. So, thank you all for very much for watching. If you want to catch this on the VODs later, you can always check out our highlights. Otherwise, you can catch us on YouTube at Unearthly Podcast. You can catch us on Twitch at Unearthly Podcast. You can catch us on Twitter at Unearthly Pod. You can find us on Facebook at Unearthly Podcast. And if you really like the show and want to throw $1 or $2 our way, you can always catch us on Patreon and donate to us there at An Unearthly Podcast.
All right. So next week, we go ahead one additional series to the beginning of Series 4 and introducing who, in my opinion, is the greatest regular companion in New Who. It's Partners in Crime, written by Russell T. Davies and starring David Tennant as the Doctor and Catherine Tate as Donna Noble. See you next week.
Bye-bye, Benny.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good job, boy.